How's it going, everybody? Just thought I would come live real quick. That's the thing with West Ham Random. We like to make it random, and that was always the plan when we started this up. Me and Peach wanted to make it random, so I figured, why not? I'm hoping that we can find some West Ham fans, some football fans in general, who can maybe help me to become less disillusioned with what's going on, because I'm, to be honest, struggling a little bit to know how the season can be good. I'm trying to figure out. Sorry, I'm just playing with some things on here as well. That's all right. This is just where we'll see. This is this is just going to be 10 minutes. I guess, who knows? I mean, we'll keep it random. I'm hoping that there's someone that can give me, like I say, some sort of reason to think that this season is going to be anything other than a disaster for West Ham. I like to try and be positive, but I'm struggling with it. So hopefully people can help me. Also, I've been railroaded into doing another one of those fantasy Premier League football teams. So if anyone has any ideas of players, anything, anyone has any ideas for me, please put it in the chat, because I'd love to see it. Good. My boy David Vinci is here. He's not a usual West Ham random person. He's an Arsenal fan. So random players, what West Ham will be signing. To be honest, I'll just take players in general. I mean, to me, it's incomprehensible that a club that knew from before the end of the season they were going to be selling their best player for a club record amount of money could not have already earmarked, highlighted, and figured out who was going to come to the club. And to me, it's just not acceptable. And it doesn't matter whose fault it was. It's a joke. It's incredibly poor organisation. Last season, me and Clips talked about this quite a lot. I wanted to give more. I think football was horrible last season. I was a Moyes out person, really. But I talked to people like West Ham Clips, Charlie Walsh, they're more on the same person. So they say the same thing, which was, you know what? We brought in a lot of players. Let's give them a season, see if they can gel together. And then next year we'll be contenders. Hammerhead, good to see you. That was supposed to be a gelling. It was supposed to be a gelling year. Here's how this is crazy to me. Our most senior players at the club, Aaron Cresswell, he's been there nearly 10 years. Hasn't even showed up for practice. He's just down his tools. A player that's been at the club for that long, part of Noble's gang. You've seen clips. Everyone that's West Ham has seen clips of Cresswell joking around. And it's at a point at that club where he doesn't even want to be there at practice. You've heard comments from Mikel Antonio. He's trying to keep it professional. It's clear he wants to go as well. And so why would any player want to come to us? Something has got to be done about it. I've never come into a season feeling like we've got no hope. And I don't know if genuinely I will be happy if David Moyes was announced sacked tomorrow. Let's see what. Hey, if you're here in the chat, please let's get discussing some things. I'd love to hear your opinion. Any chance to bring some of the youth through? Look, we've started to put him. We've got Muamba. I probably said his name wrong. I do that all the time to players, or I make up nicknames for him. He's been starting during pre-season, but the truth is, of course, he's starting because we've got rid of Scamacca, and Antonio doesn't really want to be there either, and we don't have any other strikers. So what else are you going to do? I really don't even think that's bringing you through because they're good enough. I think that's, we don't have anyone else to play there. So what choice do we have? Hammerhead, yeah. I think Sullivan had called Moyes' bluff, tried to force him out, and Moyes is digging his heels in, saying he's not going to leave, you're going to have to sack him. yeah, I think that's a really plausible scenario. I mean, it's so clear that there's problems in that club. Like you said, it is a circus. Yes, Larry is here from Lexington, Kentucky. I hope you'd be here, Larry. I don't know why we weren't Facebook friends sooner. I saw you pop up, and I don't usually look at that and add people, but I saw you on there, and I honestly was shocked we weren't already Facebook friends. So sorry about that. Mark Brown, evening. Good to see you here. Trev as well, obviously. Good to see you too. I read out your thing and didn't say hi to you. So it's good to see you all here. But yeah, there's clearly problems. And I mean, what do any West Ham fans like? What I want somebody who's actually a little positive and give me some glimmer of shining light. You know, like, because I don't find it. I genuinely so think that we are probably favourites for relegation. We've weakened our already weak team, and I mean, yeah, I have got no. I just feel like we're hopeless. In slightly more, different news to that, I mentioned earlier on. Hey, if any of you in the chat have some like bargains in Fantasy Premier League, please let me know. I've organised this $100 league and hope no one will play because I don't want to organise it, but people keep pestering me. So I've put a league together. I want to do it. But yeah, we'll see. Look, start of the season will help. Paqueta is class. Paqueta is class. And I was excited mainly because of Paqueta, but he can't do it on his own. I'd pre-order his Watson autobiography. You know what? I mean, Mark, his autobiography wouldn't be any good. He's so full of himself and stubborn. He thinks that he is the Messiah. You know, he comes here to win. I mean, and so I think that's the biggest problem. The fact that David Moyes is so bloody stubborn. You know, he won't change anything. He won't. And I imagine that that's why there's all of these conflicts. You know, you bring in a sporting director, but Moyes wants it his way. That's why the tactics are stale and the same when we've been found out. That's why he doesn't want to put new players straight into the team. He is so set in his ways. His book, I think, would show that. What two clubs do you think are nailed on to go down? I mean, because I don't know. I don't know any clubs. I mean, there's always a shock on the teams that come up. I think, and that could easily be Luton. I mean, there's always a team in the, that comes up from the Championship who all of a sudden competes like Brentford did. Like, teams do it every single year pretty much. But yeah, like Larry said, there really aren't many positive things to say. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on relegation. If you're in the chat, what three teams or what team do you most think is going to go down this year? Yeah, I think you're totally right. I think Moyes has really lost the faith of a lot of players. And look, if you can't keep the faith of the senior players, what chance do you really have? I don't see it. I mean, I'm really nervous about Bournemouth. I'm glad that we've got a team first game of the season that are not very good, because the only thing I can think that will help us is confidence. If we can get a win first game of the season, we've not got a crazy run in. If we can just put a couple of wins together, I mean, confidence can make a crap team a good team. You see it a lot, and it can also gel a team together. So, I mean, really, I think that's the hope I have, that we come in there. I do Fantasy Premier League. It's the one that the Premier League organises. It's really easy to set up mini leagues. West Ham Clips has a really big one that has, I think, 500 and something West Ham fans in it. But also, you're automatically entered into mini leagues depending on like your preferences and where you live. So when you sign up in the USA, you go into the USA League, and it shows you all of the points of the players that are based in the US. There's one for West Ham. There's a whole bunch. So you can. It's a fun game. It's just a lot of work. I wasn't going to do it this year because last season I did it with one of my friends. So I'll drop a name. My friend Jesus Ferreira, who plays for FC Dallas and the US. for the last 2 seasons, we co-managed a team. The last 4 months, that dickhead didn't help me once. He wouldn't even reply to messages. I think he got too big time. Maybe because he's going to be playing against Lionel Messi tonight. So maybe fair play. So, but now I'm doing it on my own. But yeah, it's a fun league. If anyone's interested, like I said, it's pretty small. I'm not going to have a lot of people in it, but it's going to be $100 league. There'll be prizes for like that, dotted throughout it. So just have a think about it. What is this? Has anyone in this chat been number 3 in the Premier League USA? What does that even mean, Vinji? I mean, this is typical Arsenal fan. Like, what does this even mean? Can someone translate this for me to English? I mean, this guy's literally an English teacher. And it's fun to roast him. So he'll be laughing as well. As Trev just said, it's hard to be positive about signings coming in and our best youth given a chance. And yeah, Moyes won't change it. I mean, gosh, I'll be so happy if Moyes got sacked, which I hate to see and hear. Let's see what else David has to say. He hasn't replied to me slagging him off yet. It's wild to me that Villa has done what West Ham should have been doing. Yeah, I agree. Villa appointed a good manager, a manager who can attract some players to the team, and built. We could have done that. I mean, it does suck actually. So, has anyone on fantasy? What do you mean, like at the end of a whole season? I mean. Yeah, I mean, some would say narcissistic, like talking about your achievements and 3rd place. You can tell you get very American of you, celebrating 3rd place, land of the participation trophy. It has been known to be called. Don't kick me out again, please. I do like it here. I enjoy it here. You deported me once, killed me as well. I get it. You don't love having me. You've made it very clear, but I'm still going to stay. I pay my taxes, and also just side rant here. I pay my taxes, which is taxation without representation, because I don't have any rights because I'm just on a visa. So let me just repeat that. So currently I'm forced out to pay taxation without representation. When you have a think about the time that your country got really, really mad about that. Taxation without representation. Yeah. It's all right now. It's all right now when it's not you, but back then, I get it. Anyway. Miss Hammerette, lovely to see you. Really, I'm ranting about everything. I'm just annoyed. And here's the main reason I'm annoyed. Tonight, FC Dallas play Inter Miami in this new cup. It's a cup that no one cares about. Last match, FC Dallas played a Mexican team, sold 6,000 tickets because no one cares. Now, FC Dallas are like, Messi is coming to town. We don't care about FC Dallas, but Messi is coming. Get your tickets. And, usually tickets are $30, $40. The cheapest ticket to this game, which was pre-sale VIP for people who were at the club, tickets were $150. Season ticket holders could snap up their ticket at $250 each to a game that's normally $20 to go to. But because Messi's here, everything's jacked up. Car parking. If you want to park your car at the stadium, it's $50. That's usually the price of 2 match tickets. It's insane, the circus that has existed because Messi has come to America. Can you imagine that? Imagine, as a West Ham fan, that we're like, Ibrahimovic, Ronaldo, Messi, I mean, Jesus Christ himself. Someone's coming to play on the opposing team, so we all need to buy our tickets. It doesn't even compute. I don't understand how it happens. But that being said, I suckered in to peer pressure, and I did get offered a ticket, and I paid $300 for a ticket. There's more to the story, but I feel as though I might get abused for it. But you know what? I can take it. And I get abused for it normally anyway, so I'll go right ahead. So, friend of a friend happens to play for Inter Miami. And so he's like, oh, I can sell the tickets. So my friends who play for SC Dallas, they didn't give me the tickets. It's all right. So this guy like, hey, my friend will sell it to you. These tickets are going for like $800, but for $300 you can have it. So I paid it, and I've looked, and I'm in this like sectioned off area. So now I'm thinking, there's a chance I might be sat with David Beckham today, because I'm in the Inter Miami friends and family section. You know, it's family and friends of the players in Miami. Messi, really, because you know, but they've got Messi, Sergio Busquets, and Jordi Alba starting tonight. So it's basically like seeing Barcelona with, you know, a quarter of the Barcelona team that was, you know, the dominators. So it is kind of cool. And yeah, if any of their family will be there, I'll have a ticket to sit with them. So I think it could be fun. But yeah, let me see. My tax rant is a great metaphor for West Ham's current state. Yeah, you're right. A total shambles. Larry, good luck. Just stick with fantasy. After 3 months, you're going to want to stop, but just try and stick with it. Miss Hammerette, yeah. I mean, a decision to not buy merch. You know what? I get the shirts every season. And yeah, I think that as well. You know, like, it's hard for us as fans to be able to support our team without supporting the ownership and what's going on there. But I guess not buying merch, I don't know if enough of us do it, maybe it will help, you know. And at the very least, let's not buy it. They'll be overstocked. They'll have to cut their prices, and then we'll all buy it in the sale instead. Let's just agree on that. Because, you know, people still want to get their kids' birthday presents, Christmas presents. Let's just wait for the sale and not pay anything full price. Trev, yeah, I mean, Alvarez, I can tell you, I got a lot of friends in this area who are Mexican, and they've all said to me, like, if Alvarez comes to West Ham, I'm going to get a West Ham shirt. Actually, more than even when Chicharito came, I think, which is weird. I guess because Chicharito was coming to the tail end of an illustrious career, whereas, you know, Edson Alvarez, he's in, you know, his prime, and one of their best players, really, as far as Mexico are concerned. But yeah, I mean, clearly the club is in a total mess. I mean, it always has been. I've told the story before that, you know, I'd heard a story that at the state, I can't remember if it's the stadium or training grounds, but in the team dressing room, there were like only 2 bathroom stalls. And so like Noble had to go to the owners and say, hey, can we have some more toilets in the locker room? You know, like it's honestly ridiculous that a Premier League club can be run like this. You know, then you've got other Premier League clubs that are doing smart things. You know, Burnley Football Club, I'm going to get, you know, if Clips do, I get in trouble for this as well. But, you know, Dude Perfect have just become investors in the ownership group at Burnley Football Club. And, you know, and it's less of a money thing. It's more of a like, hey, this is marketing that makes sense. We're our youth kits, because they have a betting sponsor like us, and you can't put betting sponsors on youth kits. So Burnley are like, well, let's take one of the most popular youth YouTube channels, Dude Perfect, get them on board, and we'll just let them put their logo on the kids' jerseys. And then they can sell that, you know, then they can market these to their fans. Because, you know, with Ted Lasso happening, you know, and NBC, all the friendlies, like Premier League has never been bigger in America than it is now. So that's a smart business play, you know, a smarter business play than how do we get to the audience in America? Oh, we'll be the bad guys on Ted Lasso. Do you know how many people have come up to me because of Ted Lasso and being like, oh, we want West Ham to lose every game? Like, seriously, like, yes, it's publicity to make people not like West Ham. That is, and there's the ownership in a nutshell right there, ladies and gentlemen. You know, they make a play for a bit of publicity and a bit of money without ever really thinking it through. You know, they love to just talk without thinking. But yeah, to me, I don't believe it ever left just sugar-coated with our European victory. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think it's been toxic there for a while. And Ted Lasso did. Maybe it's because Ted Lasso, you know, maybe it's Nate. Let's blame Nate, that bastard Nate. It's his fault. If Rupert, who bought West Ham, you know, in fact, another good metaphor there. You know, the owner of West Ham in Ted Lasso is a total joke, just, you know, like real life. But yeah, maybe it's all because of Ted Lasso. Larry's been asking me for this flag for so long. It's a flag worth nothing, but cost me hundreds to get it framed. Yeah, and it will cost hundreds to get it shipped as well. Maybe one day, Larry, though, because I'm not that attached to possessions. Maybe I put the Lanzini jersey behind me instead of this. I tell you what, I'll take some measurements. Remind me, I'll take some measurements of this. I'll look at how much it costs to ship it. And you might be able to make me an offer that would convince me to do it, Larry. Richard Cox, good to see you. I imagine, it's probably past Jacob's bedtime. You know, everyone, West Ham Unofficial, you should follow it. I'm sure you're already subscribed. But it was his 13th birthday just a couple of days ago. So he was super excited. He's now a teenager at last. So yeah, he's super excited about it. But yeah, a late happy birthday to Jake. I know you've probably seen the video, but it's good to see you, Richard. Yeah, see, that's true. Ted Lasso, it makes you think that West Ham are the bad guys. Trev said, hope you're doing well. I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. There's total power struggles going on at the club. Budgie is in the building. Budgie's in the building. Da, 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 da. Oof. Had to do it. It's good to see you all. But yeah, I mean, like I said, apart from maybe confidence, if we can win a couple of games, is there anything that we can be thinking about, like, to be optimistic about? You know, here are my three questions for the chat. Number one, do we have anything to be optimistic about for next season right now? Anything at all? Are there any positives we can find? Number two, if you guys have any tips for Fantasy Premier League, any players that are listed a little cheaper, any players that are like listed as defenders, but really they play in midfield, please let us know your tips in the chat, because I really can't be bothered to research it. I just don't have the time. So your help would be much, much appreciated. And then the last thing, I'm going to FC Dallas versus Lionel Messi tonight. So do I boo Messi every time he touches the ball? You know, yes or no? I feel probably. So Budgie says be optimistic about Paqueta. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, honestly, Paqueta is the only thing. I mean, at the end of last season, when we knew we were losing Rice, I did think, man, Paqueta was really coming into it. He is going to be a superstar this season. I'm sure of it. The problem is it's hard to be a superstar when you don't have players to play with. You know, I think little John Joe from section 124, row C, as our, fifth substitute, is probably not going to cut it with Paqueta, who played in the World Cup. But, I mean, you're right. It is something to be optimistic about. Let's hope and pray that we don't get any injuries, because, our squad is smaller and smaller. Our reputation is less and less, I'm sure, as more and more of these players sign us, barely play for a year, then get sold again to another club, another organization, another league, where they can tell them how much of a joke our club is. That's how football works. When a player's going somewhere, the first thing they do is call someone they know that's been there, or someone they know that's there. I mean, it's not a massive industry when you think about how many players are actively playing in the top teams. You know, it's a small world. They all talk to each other, you know. And I mean, when you're at a club with a terrible reputation, that gets out pretty quickly as well. And it sucks to see it. Good to see so many of you in here tonight. I didn't expect it, so thank you. We be optimistic about Barack Obama. I'm just going to call him Barack. Yeah, that's his nickname now. So Barack, I liked him as president, so maybe. I am optimistic. I just think that he's only playing because we don't have anyone else to play who want to play. That's what I think. But Lee, good to see you here. Love to see it. Overland and sea. We all follow the West Ham on to victory. It's my pleasure. I just, every now and then I was feeling a bit frustrated with how we're looking, and I was trying to do my fantasy team, and I just was thinking, I'm just going to pop on for a little while, talk to the gang, see how people are doing. All right. Anyone on the chat here this season, does anybody see us having a top 10 season this year? Is there anyone in the chat that would like to say, yep, I genuinely believe West Ham will finish in the top 10 this year, and this is why? That's the sort of things I want to hear. I want to hear why people think we might actually succeed. I'd love it if we did, obviously. Oh, Duke is in the building as well. Duke is in the building. Da, 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 da. But yeah, I always would like to, my catchphrase is stay positive, love your life. That's what I say it all the time, said as a teacher. It's just become sort of like a mantra. So I'd like to try and find a way to be positive. Paqueta and Barack are two good reasons. I mean, Budgie, do you actually think that? Like, do you actually think that we can finish 8th and get to the semi-final of the Europa League? Like, I mean, of course it's a possibility, but like, do you think that can happen with the squad that we've got? I mean, look, we just sold our best player, and West Ham, with our best player, managed to get to the semi-finals a couple of years ago. We have basically just, last season we had a rebuild year. We signed a whole bunch of players. Then we sold and got rid of some of those players, and Declan Rice made a lot of a profit. And then it's like, nah, we spent money last year and it didn't work. So we're done with spending now. I don't know. It's so frustrating. But who knows? Look, there are players out there available. The window's still open. We've got plenty of time. I mean, I guess the way to be positive is exactly that. We still got nearly 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks left of the transfer window. I think we could turn it around. And clearly there's a power struggle going on. There's only so long that can last. Someone's going to have to go, or something's going to have to happen. And thankfully there is a little bit of time. So regardless of what happens on Bournemouth, we got a couple of crunch points. The season will be a few games in. If we get crushed against Bournemouth, I think that we might see some very quick changes. But I don't know. I don't see Moyes leaving. I can't see it happening. There have been so many opportunities where it would have been easier to get rid of him, and they haven't done it. So I just don't think they will do it. There's always a chance, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know what conversations are happening. Trev thinks if Moyes leaves, we sign some quality, we start attacking properly as a team, there's a slim chance. Otherwise, it could be a rough season. Do you think there's a way that we could? Do you think there's any way that we could still have a good season with David Moyes in charge? I said the only thing I can think is if we somehow get a few good results and build up some confidence. Lee's frustrated with diet football, but West Ham till I die. I agree. But yes, players are laughing and joking in the media. Should they be? You know what? It's tough. I mean, I'm West Ham. Look, I'm always going to be West Ham. People, I mean, I put on some shirts for some other teams to get some stick because I'm the WWE bad guy. But I don't know. It's hard because the players have a responsibility to the people that pay their wages. And they don't. Like I said, football's a small industry as well. And players that want to, that speak out don't tend to have a good reputation, and clubs are weary about signing those sort of players. And so, it's getting to see some of the other side of transfers from the player's point of view. I feel like it's probably fine. It's good for them to be relaxed. You don't want them to be concerned with the circus that's going on above them. Players can't go out and sign other players. Players can't put the team in a formation and give them tactics. But what they can do is be in a position where they're happy to be where they're at. I mean, I think about if I'm working in an environment where I don't really want to be there, I don't really like some of the people that I'm working with, I'm not very motivated to do my job and I don't perform very well. And so, I think that it is probably important for the players to keep their morale high. And I hope that they don't get bogged down by the crap that's going on around them. Because that's the only way we're going to get any results this season, really. I should have some faith. You're right. We won the Conference League with no losses. Why not finish 8th? I mean, I think the season could have taken a toll. The problem is that we don't really have any firepower. We've got an aging Antonio who, let's be honest, we all know he doesn't really want to be there. None of the senior players want to be there. I said that at the top of this. Cresswell, he's downed his tools. Antonio's made comments on his podcast. There's a lot of the senior players in that club that just don't really want to be there anymore. That's the red flag. And so before they had Mark Noble holding them all together, making sure that the morale was up, confidence was up. Last season, they had Declan Rice, protege, star player, future England captain, going to be his last year. And it was pretty clear it was going to be his last year at the club. And, the players, out of respect to Declan Rice and the fact that they know players know how good he is, they wanted to win it for him. He's not there anymore. Now they've got, Noble is during the we don't hear from Noble because what can he say? That's almost the way that there's some power struggle and there's no unity going on behind the scenes. Because if there was unity, we would have heard a lot more from Mark Noble because he wears his heart on his sleeve. He doesn't bullshit people. I've read his book. Of course, he sometimes has to censor himself because of the job he does. But I think that's why we haven't heard a lot from him because he won't be happy with what's going on. He cares about West Ham United. And he's not going to be happy that our best player has gone. Our striker, who was supposed to be gelling, is out the door as well. And we've spent none of the money. We're the only Premier League team that hasn't brought anybody in. And, there's people talking about coming, but, again, that's part of the frustration. We knew Rice was going. These targets should have already been identified. Contracts should have been negotiated. It should have already been done so that they could have had a pre-season. Now they come straight into straight into a squad of players that they don't know and that they haven't trained with, under a manager who firmly believes that players should have to have time to gel in and no player should be signed and walk straight into the squad. So now we have no gelling period and we've got a stubborn manager who won't want to play new signings, and we've got people trying to make signings who disagrees with that same manager. I mean, it's a shit show. And so it's hard to have faith. But look, believe me, I'm trying. Hopefully we smash Bournemouth. Hopefully, like, the mood will go up and we'll be fine. You know, I mean, you know, I get it. You can see these players like they don't care, but like I said, you know, their morale needs to be up. And look, you've also got to remember that they don't care like we care. You know, why should they? I can tell you now, the club don't give a shit about them. The club doesn't care about them. If the club gets a good enough offer for one of the players, see you later. You know, look at Dawson last year. He just wanted to be back with his family back home. Club said no. You're going to see out your contract. You're going to stay. Aaron Cresswell didn't want to be there anymore. Offer comes in, nah, we're gone. You know, you don't want to play. You know, and so the club doesn't give a shit about our players. And sadly, there's most clubs, from what I've seen, and, you know, a lot of clubs don't really care about their players. The players are just their assets. And so, you know, for us, we love to see a player wear his heart on his sleeve. We love the players to love the clubs. And there are so many players that we've got a fantastic bond with. You know, Di Canio, all of the guys that come through West Ham. You know, but even some of the academy players. I mean, look at people like Joe Cole now. He's, you know, obviously Frank Lampard, but a lot of West Ham fans don't like those guys. But there's less and less of these people who are going to be icons and are going to be legends to us. You know, the game isn't like it was. There used to be loyalty. That's why we didn't have many managers. You know, that's why as a club, we've had the fewest managers of anyone. Because there used to be loyalty, and West Ham used to be good at that. But in the modern game, that loyalty is gone. You know, and it's sad, but we're going to see less and less players. Think about the last 5 years. How many players that have played for West Ham in the last 5 years would you put on the same page as people like Paolo Di Canio, people like Mark Noble, even Carlos Tevez wasn't here for long, but he found his way to the fans' hearts. Nowadays, it's just not like that. It isn't. That's a good shout, actually. Back to fantasy briefly. I've got some comments. I will go through everyone's comment. You're right, Barak. I'm going to call him Barak. That's a good idea. I'm going to look at. Well, the thing is, though, he's going to get minutes, but I don't think West Ham are going to do very well. So I haven't put any West Ham players in my team, which I hate to say. I want to put Paqueta in there, but, you know, I don't want to let my heart rule my brain when it comes to my fantasy team. You know, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't think I need to take a risk, but maybe I will. Maybe I will. Thanks, Larry. Brozier coming in. Well, let's hope. I mean, you can't, you know, we all know we don't know a player's coming in until he's in the shirt. I hope I haven't missed you, but I probably have. See you later, Miss Hammerat. Lovely having you here. I appreciate you. Patson Dagger from Leicester. Yeah, I mean, why we haven't rated the clubs that have gone down better, I just don't know. I mean, just beyond belief, really, to me. Yeah, it's a good idea. I like that. Yeah, I mean, why not? I believe it, Trudge. But we have a bunch of money now for Rice. You know, Benrahma cares, mate. Yeah, I mean, look, he's a good player, but like, look at you know, I thought of Benrahma actually, Budge. It's funny you should say that because you're right. He is he's just a good human being. The guy, I can't remember his name. I feel bad. The journalist who used to be attached to West Ham. He was with Brentford, and then I think the guy from the Guardian. No, the London Sport, you know, the London Evening Stand, whatever the London paper is. I'm so sorry, I forgot his name. But he was Brentford, and then he came over to cover West Ham. And back when I did a podcast, we had him on the podcast a couple of times. And he mentioned that Benrahma's just such a good lad, like a decent human being, you know. And then you look at how he's been treated in the team. Moyes doesn't have faith in him. He's often subbed off. You know, like, he is, I mean, he's probably our worst treated player, you know, and he's a decent human being, so he cares. But I genuinely think that if he was given an option to get out of the club and not be under David Moyes anymore, I think he'd be chomping at the bit, you know, because I don't, you know, like, look at how he's treated. You can't say, no player wants to be like in the squad rotation, you know. No player wants to go into practice, you know, every week. I mean, look, and I've done this. I've been guilty of you know, during the week, texting my friends. Do you know if you're going to be in the squad? And he's like, well, I practiced with the first team. You know, I practiced in the starting 11, so I hope so, but I don't know. You know, that's Benrahma's existence. He doesn't know from one week to the next if he's going to be in the team. So he's working in practice. He doesn't know. He's waiting to find out. And I mean, no player like has that as a preference. Everyone wants to be at a club where they know they're going to be on the team sheet. It's not even in their mind. But let me go back through this. So, I didn't see that. I mean, Mark, I hope so, because in the World Cup, you might remember, they did this in the World Cup. They added time on. And like, I'm a true believer of something has to be done about time wasting and simulation. And I mean, honestly, I'd be up for stopping the clock instead of even adding on time. And I know it's outrageous. I hate changing the game, but I can't think of another way to do it. There's no honesty anymore. Look at the world. Honesty is not something that people value so much anymore. Unfortunately, it's sad, and it's the same on the football pitch. People will do anything to get an advantage, which is rolling around and wasting time. If you stop the clock when a player goes down and the ball's out of play, the players will stop doing it. There's no benefit in the clock stopping. They're not actually wasting time. And so I'd like to see that trial, really. Honestly, I'd just like him to try whatever it takes. I think maybe if a player goes down for a certain amount of time, maybe you can't sell a player off, though, because if they're actually, it's hard. And that's why I think stopping the clock is the best idea. I don't think we've had any offers for Benrahma. I hope not, because, God, the last thing we need is to sell any more players. I mean, why we are selling players after selling Declan Rice and making 100 million, I really do not know. It's just, it doesn't make any sense at all. Any sense. So like you say, it could change. And yeah, you're right. Everyone knows you've got money and that's part of it, but still players have their price, you know? And that's exactly why if we had owners that had any damn foresight to think a step or two ahead, they'd know, all right, we're going to be selling Rice this summer. It's in our best interest to negotiate deals for players right now before we even sell Declan Rice. We've identified the guys that we need. We've identified the areas of weakness. Let's approach these teams now. Let's try and get a couple of players in before we've even sold Dec, because we know we're going to get money and then it's going to be harder. But no, they don't think that way. I don't think they think that way. Who knows? I mean, we don't know whether maybe they just have had bad luck, but I doubt it. You know, the evidence points to the fact that that's not how it is. I've got Budge's team here as well, which I love to see. Can't beat this squad. Let me have a look. All right. I mean, Budgie, you're delusional. I mean, now I was worried you were delusional after this, thinking that we might finish 8th and get to a semi-final. You put Danny Ings in the team. Danny Ings. Why? What are you playing at? Isaac and Haaland, I think I got them as well, actually. Trossard, I'm on the fence with. Why? Declan Rice doesn't score points. So I would call, the reason he's so cheap is, well, who knows? Maybe under Arteta, maybe he'll score some goals. But yeah, Danny Ings, yeah, like, thanks, Larry, thanks. Come on, Budge. Think maybe you've, had one too many of. Okay, he's in. Still better to get a player. Here's my way of doing it, and I won't. In my little leagues I've been in, the last 2 seasons I've finished 1st and 2nd. So I'm not usually that good, but I'm on a bit of a run. I'm doing all right. I would say, as a great tactic, instead of putting a player like Danny Ings, find a striker at a newly promoted team. Find a striker who's going to start every game for a crap team, or a striker, Gabriel Jesus is injured. Maybe you find an Arsenal guy, Ketia. I don't know who they're going to play. But the good thing about your bench players is you pick players that are cheap, that might go up in value, because then later on in the season, you can easily get yourself an extra million to play with by into the season when players' prices go up. And so you can use that extra money. For people who are not familiar with Fantasy Premier League, you can make transfers throughout the season. And the way it works is if you bought a player at the start of the season for like 5 million and he comes in and scores a bunch of goals, the more people put him into the team, the more his price goes up. So prices rise and fall depending on how many people are picking them, are transferring them in and out of their teams. And so if you can find a player that goes up, you get 0.1 extra value, 0.1 of a million for every 0.2 he goes up. So if you get a player who's listed at 4 million, they score in their first 2 games and everyone brings them in and they go up to 4.6 million, you can sell them for 4.3. And now you've got extra money to juggle around, other positions. So if, same way, if a player's getting injured or suspended and everyone's going to transfer them out early so that you get the most money, because they reevaluate prices for players daily. So anyway, there's some fantasy tips that you weren't going to get. This has been fun. I'm going to end this pretty soon because I was only going to do it for like 10, 15 minutes. And I've got to get myself sorted. The game tonight, like I said, FC Dallas Stadium sold out in 20-something minutes. Never been done before. Just because Messi is going to be here in Frisco. They've sold 20,000 tickets. It's going to be carnage in that place. They're trying to charge $50 to everyone to park. I'm hoping, us local people know some places where, you can get some free parking. So I still need to go early, but, have a couple of drinks. But I don't know how early. They're opening the gates at 7 p.m. I mean, it'll be a nightmare. It'll probably take 20 minutes to get in. The stadium's a shambles. But yeah, I was waiting for the transfer window to go. It's good, but you got to fix your team by like Friday. Otherwise, it's locked in. Ariola at 4 million takes over. You could, for goalkeepers though, goalkeepers are so cheap. The amount of money difference between them and how much they're valued at. My tactic is usually to just pick 2 good goalkeepers. I think I've gone with. I think I might put the Man United goalkeeper in there, and I can't remember. Maybe it was Ramsdale. Yeah, I think Ramsdale from Arsenal. I always think it's a good idea to, get 2 decent keepers. But yeah, this was fun. Stay positive. Love your lives. Thanks for coming. Thanks for letting me rant. I have a feeling that this is going to disappear like Inspector Gadget. This message will self-destruct. I have a feeling that I don't want to delete anything that's on here. There's some non-Peach stuff that I can go into StreamYard and get rid of, but I just don't want to touch anything that he did. So I want to keep it there. So as always, we love you, Peach. And I feel like it will be wrong before I go not to just share something like this.
But they have money. They have short arms. I tell you, their arms are this short. Oh, I'm getting mad. I need to.
Welcome to probably the last ever episode of the Frankel and Peach show, because Peach can't get here on time, and I told him if he can't get here on time, then I'm done. I ain't got time for this. This isn't how it works. Son, I ain't got time for this. This isn't how it works. Son, I ain't got time for this. This isn't how it works.
Son, I ain't got time for this. This isn't how it works.
I know if there was any way that he can see this, he will be chuckling right now, and he would be loving the fact that I'm running two things. So, wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't still be doing this if it wasn't for him. This was for him. This is because of him, and so we keep it going. So, much love to all of you for tuning in. I appreciate you. Thank you for not making me talk to myself, because that would have been lonely and weird and sad. So thanks, Mark. I'll enjoy the game. Good to see you all. Lee, much love. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Larry, as always. So, make me an offer. I mean, I'll measure it. I will genuinely consider it, because I think the Lanzini shirt will be better up there. Yeah, another player we've lost and not replaced. Just before I go. Howard, thank you for watching. Appreciate you, Trev. Same to you. You take care, guys. Love you too, Budge. Much appreciated. Stay positive. Love your lives. We'll see you at some point soon. Much love.